The story of Adam Montgomery, the father who allegedly murdered his daughter after striking her multiple times in the head for wetting herself in the car that they lived in. It's been a heart wrenching trial if you've seen any of the testimony. Prosecution recently resting, the defense not really putting up much of a defense at all, just taking it straight to closing arguments. Joining me to discuss how this all went, attorney Eric Faddis. Eric, let's start. I want to ask about the defense of Adam Montgomery first, and then I want to kind of get your take on how everything went with the prosecution. But were you surprised that when it came their turn to present a case, they just passed and said, "Nope, let's just go to closing arguments"?
It's tough because that's absolutely their right to do that.
Hmm.
But practically speaking, most jurors at least want to hear something. Sometimes, from the defense standpoint, you'll have like a token one or two witnesses
Hmm.
who you put up to challenge something minor that the prosecution did. Here, Adam Montgomery's defense didn't do any of that. And so I've got to imagine that's at least in the back of the juror's mind saying, hey, look, you didn't even want to put on a witness. And I think it could be a problem for Adam,
Well,
among many other problems he has.
yeah, I mean, well, he didn't even want to show up. Number one, and then number two, there's no witnesses. I mean, would there be any? I don't know if you know who you would call, to vouch for Adam Montgomery. But it was kind of surprising. I thought that there was absolutely nothing there. Let's talk about the prosecution and the case that they made. Obviously, bringing multiple witnesses, all sorts of experts, detectives, including Kayla Montgomery, who seemed to be one of the most impactful witnesses with her statements. Again, interesting because she's not the most credible, has lied quite a bit, but her story was corroborated by many other people. What's your thoughts on how all of that went down with their part of the case?
I remember being a prosecutor, and sometimes these really difficult cases where there's only a few witnesses. It's Kayla and Adam Montgomery and Harmony, and she's gone.
Hmm.
Harmony's gone. So it's difficult to have a bunch of witnesses come in there. I thought the prosecution did a nice job sort of buttressing their case with these other professionals who have better credibility than Kayla Montgomery. Her credibility is shot, but who else are they going to call to talk about what happened? They had to call her, and I thought she did reasonably well. I thought at times the testimony was compelling, and at times it raised some eyebrows, and so the jury's going to have to kind of decipher all that while they're back there.
Other than Kayla, what testimony stood out to you in this case?
You know, um, s- what really jumped out to me, like you said, Adam Montgomery sort of did himself in. His own statements have been some of the most problematic for his case. The fact that he's not even there at trial is going to be a horrible negative impression on the jury. They're going to think, gosh, this guy doesn't even care that his daughter died and he's being accused of it and he's not even here to defend himself. Some of the statements he made to his friend, like I effed up shortly after all of this went down, and then also telling law enforcement it's a waste of time to search for his at that time allegedly missing daughter. That's not something that an innocent person would say. They'd want law enforcement to be hitting the ground searching under every rock they could. And so I think really the most damning aspects of the case were what Adam Montgomery said himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the defense of Adam Montgomery really playing the card of, he's a "I love you, baby girl" or "Wake up, baby girl" was the opening in the closing arguments of his defense. I mean, and it's so contradictory to a lot of the statements that were made and what allegedly he told some of his friends that he really hated, and I'm just paraphrasing her, but like hated her with every fiber of his being. Where does reality lie in this? Do you think it's more somewhere in the middle? Was he this hateful person who really truly did have nothing to do with this little girl because it reminded him of her mother? Or is this someone who was inconvenienced by this little girl and had a rage problem and it got way out of hand?
Obviously, a case like this, child death case, it's emotionally charged.
Hmm.
Emotions are going to run high. Adam Montgomery has made some enemies, no question about that. And so, do some people have some axes to grind against him? Sure. Are some people saying some things to potentially protect themselves, like Kayla Montgomery? Sure. And I think, the truth probably does lie somewhere a little closer to the middle, but Adam Montgomery has just not done himself any favors. He comes off as this dastardly, horrible parent. And we have this testimony under oath to support that. And so, of course, that's going to be weigh heavy on the jurors' minds in determining what to do with him in this case.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks